obviously, the 22 Republicans rolled over and they voted for the bill. Congress looks like they're saying that they're not going to actually, or the House of Representatives, they said they don't plan on voting for it. Let's fingers crossed because, who knows? But it is funny, of course, when they say, hey, this bill isn't going to make it past the House of Representatives, you now have reports of Russia wanting nuclear weapons in space. So, yeah, we're back over to this again. It sounds like Space Force might have been actually a pretty good idea from Trump, huh?
Well, assuming this isn't a little bit more sleight of hand from our bureaucracy, but the timing of it is makes it questionable at best.
Listen, it's fake for one reason. It's a very clear reason. If they had weapons in space, they wouldn't be using nukes because you don't need nukes if you already have satellites in space that can deliver weapons. There was a thing that they were reporting on, I think it was back in the 90s, they came up with the idea of the rods from God is what they called them, which was basically these like titanium rods that would be able to be launched from space. And by the time they break through Earth's atmosphere, they're going at such a velocity that when they hit the ground, it would be the equivalent of a nuke going off. So yeah, I think they're tungsten rods is what they were. So far cheaper than what an actual nuke would cost you, and just as accurate. So you wouldn't even use nukes. It would make no sense to use nukes on a satellite to launch from there. You would use something that would be much harder to detect, moving at a much quicker rate, that would cause equal damage, if not in some cases possibly even more. So
When it first broke, I was expecting it to be a laser.
I thought they might have learned from Ronald Reagan.
A laser.
I mean, here's the thing. Whatever they have is far more advanced than what we currently know about, or else, I mean, come on. We wouldn't have stuff like Area 51, right? They have weapons that we don't know about.
And
So,
we have weapons that we don't know about.
exactly. Exactly. I mean, if you think nukes are the pinnacle of weapons at this point, no. All right, they are ancient weapons at this. Nukes are all, I mean, think of how old nukes are. They're pretty dang old. All right, we had nukes before we went to the moon. Like, let's just be clear about how old nukes actually are. And let's also not forget how much more powerful they've become since Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So the nukes that I think it was the Tsar bomb. It was the largest one ever detonated, and that one was by Russia. I mean, it made Hiroshima and Nagasaki look like nothing at all by comparison. You know what? I'm actually going to go ahead and pull a comparison just so we can actually have an idea of this, because people do need to realize the fact of our weapons have changed so much since from what we perceive it to be.
Well, that's all well and good, but are we going to believe this report, or do we think it's just one more example of CIA, FBI, other alphabet letter agencies just
Oh, well, the
making
fact
stuff?
here's the thing. I have no doubt that Russia's trying to put weapons in space because we are probably trying to do the exact same thing. My thing is of course this was leaked out to some extent now because they're trying to push the foreign aid bill over to Ukraine. They are scared, like, because here's the thing, they know the minute we don't approve even one aid bill to Ukraine, the entire thing falls apart. We won't approve any more going there. That's how this has always gone when it comes to government spending for the most part. When it comes to a lot of this foreign spending, is once you can, it's hard to stop, but once you stop it, it's kind of difficult to get it back rolling afterwards again sometimes. So they are absolutely terrified about if this bill does not make it through. And the thing is, if it doesn't make it through, they probably have something waiting in the back to say, well, the president can shift funds over from this to this and it be allowed. And by the time the Supreme Court gets involved, the money's already gotten to them. So it's more of just a wagging your finger saying, don't you do that again. So I'm pretty sure they have contingencies already, but this is, I think, the big reason why is because they're worried that they won't be able to keep pushing as much money in there if we can stop it just one time. And by the way, here's an idea. This little one here was Little Boy, and this was Fat Man. And this was the Tsar bomb. So Just give you some ideas of how things have changed over the years. And this was 1951, so this is still over
Yeah, that
50
was
years ago.
and much more tactical now, and you know, a lot more capabilities of sneaking something through.
But
But I'm with you. I'm not sure exactly why. So have they actually said, or the news reporting that it really was space nuke, or because when I said that I was kind of being funny. I really didn't think it was going to be a nuke from space.
um they're saying everything I've been seeing is that Russia wants nuclear weapons in space,
Okay.
which again I could see, but at the same time, there's other weapons that have been theorized for a long time now that would do the same thing at a far cheaper cost. Then again, Russia likes being old school with things, so who knows? Maybe they'll throw nukes up there just cause. I mean, look at the tanks they keep sending into Bal. Their tanks they keep sending into Ukraine. They're still kind of going by the Soviet philosophy of quantity over quality. So, I mean, they got more nukes than anyone else. Why not? I guess throw some in
Since we're kind of
space.